Hello, good evening, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another season 3 of the Afvrc. And what a night we have in store for you tonight. We are back once again, and a huge thank you to everyone who's made this season 3 a big possibility, and that includes to our title sponsor, British Forces Broadcasting Service, BFBS, bringing you live coverage of season 3 here tonight. It's David Christie on commentary, and of course I can't do this by myself, so that means it's time to bring back the man, the myth, the legend that is Mr. John Knighton. John, welcome back to the commentary box. Another season, and I'm hoping we just pick up where we left off last time.
Well, so am I, David. Yeah, it's great to be back again, and thank you very much for that very warm and most undeserved introduction there. It is brilliant to be back, and I think the first thing to say is it's just so great to see so many familiar faces and names, and some new ones who are joining in this year for this brand new series of our racing. And I think we're in for, if it's anything like as exciting as it was last year, then we're in for a real treat over the next few weeks.
We certainly are. So much to bring it up to speed with. We have got 10 weeks of racing coming up for you, 2 rounds per evening. And of course, we start things off here at Silverstone GP in the brand new Toyota GR86 Cup car. I've had a little shot of this car myself in some of the other online championships on iRacing. This car is an absolute blast to drive, and it is going to lead to some very, very tight, close-knit racing. Craig Durant there, you can see in the 84, the man that has everything on his shoulders after a stunning season 2. He has got everything to hold on to after that stunning performance last season, John.
Oh, he was unbelievable. He was in a league of his own, wasn't he, for most of the season, and an absolute joy to watch. And I think that the one thing that he was saying was how important it was to stay out of trouble. And there was a lot of trouble last year, if you remember, a lot of incidents going on around the course. And Craig was one of those people who just seemed to be able to avoid it. And as a result, picked up so many points throughout the course of the season, and deservedly the champion.
Now, one of the things you picked up on there, John, so many new names coming into this championship, but I'm looking at the timing screens there. I see the old familiar faces, Luke Arpino in there, Craig Durant in there as well. You've also got a couple of new names now, one that I can see there. In fact, I'll come on to him in just a minute, because we do have to have a quick word about our brand new season sponsors for this season. Obviously, we've got our main title sponsor, which is BFBS, the British Forces Broadcasting Service, but also a huge thank you to Racecar Radios, who are providing a track day experience as one of the main prizes, and also to Splunk, who will be providing live data and analytics over the course of the season. Very, very excited to be able to show you some really, really new insights into how these drivers are racing these cars. But the man that I wanted to point out right now here, John, is a young lad that I know very well. I don't know if I can call him young. He must be about, 20, 21 by now. Stu McFadden in second place just now. A young Scotsman, an incredible talent. But again, I guess just showing what the level of talent that this championship is drawing on.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on this year. I mean, obviously, you've got the inside knowledge of Stuart, but Royal Air Force man through and through. And I think what I'm particularly excited about this year, if you remember last year in the Porsches, there were basically 2 classes, weren't there, throughout the season. This year, we're back down to 1 class again, a bit like we had in the first season when the MX-5s. These cars, though, are a different league. They're a step up. But it is absolutely uniform championship this year, so it's going to be a real test of everyone's ability in these wonderful Toyota cars. But Stuart McFadden, looking good.
The other thing with these Toyota cars here, John, is that, again, from experience, they're just a riot to drive. They're the right amount of power. They're very, very leery. They slide about an awful lot. And I'll tell you what, even if you're only going 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, they make you feel like an absolute superstar behind the wheel.
They certainly do. And what a way to start the championship as well. here at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit. That's not a bad way to start a season of competition.
It certainly isn't. As we said, 10 weeks of racing coming up. We start off here at Silverstone. Next week, we are off to Brands Hatch Indy, and then it is Donington GP. And, it's a real tour de force of the UK here. We've got Knockhill on there, Brands Hatch back again for the GP version, Oulton Park. So, a lot of the quintessential British circuits here being covered in this championship. And I think that, everybody is going to have a part to play in this. Where we saw Craig run away with the championship in season 2, I honestly don't think he's going to have that chance here, because it's, as you said, it's the one group, it's the one class in this series. And I think because it's that cup car, because it's so even, I think we're going to have a whale of a time this season.
Yeah, I do, and as well as the individual championship. Of course, we've got the team championships to think about as well. I know the Royal Navy will be very keen to maybe improve on what they were able to achieve last year, and I think great as well that we've just sort of looking down the list, we've got some of our veterans back as well, some of our ex-bosses as well. Looking at Linda Noble, for example, who from the veterans setup, and it'll be good to see her doing well this year. Shame we haven't got a few more women. Actually, we could see some more females competing, but great that Linda can see her on the track at the moment, driving in car 101. That's a good number, isn't it? Car 101, brilliant.
That'll get the job done. But obviously, racing for British Army and flying the flag proudly. And that is the other thing that we saw from the previous seasons, just how heated the inter-team championship battle got throughout the season as well. And we were wondering, I think halfway through or to the beginning of season 2, whether it was going to make any difference, whether it was just a nice to have addition. But, I mean, they were really some proper team battles going on. And we saw through a couple of the races, actually, some tactics through inter-team as well.
Yeah, some hugely exciting finishes, if you remember as well, David. Literally, it was impossible to call going into the final bend. Especially, I think I remember it down at Brands Hatch. Really exciting. And, the more of that, the better. Glenn Griffin out there at the moment, so we can see him for the Royal Air Force driving car number 25, and he's putting in a good time at the moment. He'll be obviously keen to get to that place up on the board. And we'll be, I think, doing the same thing with the second races each day, won't we, with the reverse grid positions as well, and that's going to make life interesting.
Yeah, so with the reverse grid, it's a much more straightforward affair. Of course, one of the other changes this season is we have a much more straightforward point system. Unlike last year, where it was on the driver index, as we see Glenn Griffin, I think power sliding, we'll call it that. We've got to be nice, because Infrastar having a key connection to the championship. He'll be out with us very soon. Will Glenn Griffin in that number 25, and again, just going to show how leery these cars can be. But just going back to what I was saying there, I mean, it is fantastic to see how quickly these drivers able to adapt to these new cars. We've had what feels like a whole bunch of different different cars coming into the championships, but also with that clarified, easy to understand points layout for the championship. I think that makes the driver's life a little bit easier as well when it comes to the championship.
And I think it'll help them as well as the season goes on as well. I think if you remember last year, it took quite a bit of getting used to the extra power that the Porsches provided. But I think we will see as the season goes on, because they're all in the same cars, I think we will actually see some really good performances this year, maybe from across the board too, which will be definitely worth seeing. And here's another driver as well who has been brilliant over the last couple of years. James King is always there or thereabouts.
One thing that I've noticed actually here, John, and I'll kind of elaborate on this a little bit in a second, but one of the things that I've noticed changing rapidly is the amount of effort that's gone into the liveries on these cars. They are looking absolutely stunning for season 3. We've seen some of the RAF, and actually, just a side note as well, it's a proper tour de force right now for the RAF at the moment, because they have what looks like 8 drivers in the top 10 right now.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, I think it's probably fair to say that there's been quite a lot of practice being going on over the last couple of weeks, David. And it wouldn't surprise me if quite a few of the people that we're seeing, at the top of the charts at the moment, and who knows whether they'll be at the top of the charts during the races, have been certainly getting the practice in over the last few weeks as well, and that'll be interesting to see as well. And again, as the season goes on, of course, more and more practice will have been happening, and I think that it makes for a very exciting championship.
It absolutely does. With just 4 minutes left to go in qualifying, it is Ryan Martin at the top of the times there, 2:25.470, but the top 4 split by just 0.6 of a second, and then it's down to Ollie Waynes in 5th position there. So again, expect to see those positions change, but one of the fantastic things is that we have no idea how important qualifying is right now. We will once we get into this first couple of races here, because you'll be able to see how quickly these cars are able to make up ground, and I've got a feeling that that is going to be very, very quickly indeed. One of the things that we were praising the season for and praising the championship for and the drivers for last year is the quality of the performances, the racemanship, the racecraft going on between the drivers, and the friendliness, and the I think essentially the racing spirit, John, was something that came through very, very strongly indeed.
Yeah, and I would certainly expect that to continue this year. And of course, as all the drivers are getting more and more experience with this, then we'll see that carry through. And I think that's probably because these guys are meeting each other, as certainly when the season itself gets started in the real cars, in the real Armed Forces Championship. There's a huge camaraderie going on there, which I've witnessed that over the last couple of years, and so it happens here and it happens out on the track as well, which is great.
The other thing as well, John, just while we've got a couple of minutes, is that it's fascinating to see, how much of this real life experience almost translates into, the sim racing experience translates into the real life experience, because of course you've got the Armed Forces Championship that happens in real life between the different teams and all of the different motorsport disciplines that the Armed Forces take part in. And it's just brilliant to see everybody being able to get brought together for a championship like this.
But it is, and I think we go back to a couple of years ago, during the pandemic, it was this racing, this iRacing, which really kept people, in the mix, and they were therefore ready when we got, down to the business of what was going on the real track as well. John Finch having a bit of a moment there, and hopefully that will get that out of his system as he hovers back into the pits there. I think COVID obviously, and the fact that real racing couldn't happen for so long really was the catalyst for this to really take off, not just in this sort of sport, but in so much esports as well, and that's been really good.
Yeah, for sure, and it's great to see so many of these drivers actually sticking at it and staying the course, where a lot of the esports they've gained popularity and then it's maybe drifted off a little bit. Certainly to have another 30 cars back out on track for the opening round of the season is just an absolute joy to watch. But as we said, 2 minutes left to go, about a minute left to go now, as Ryan Martin still on the top of the timing tables right now for our first race of the season here with these brand new Toyota GR86 Cup cars, a free car added to the iRacing platform late last year, and they have gone down very, very well indeed. Currently on board then with Clough down in 15th position. Good old Michael Cloughy. We saw a lot of Michael through the last season, and it's safe to say that he'll be wanting to make a good start to this season.
Yeah, he will. And he actually, if you remember, I think he made a very good start to last season as well. I'm interested as well because I think there was a bit of an experiment, wasn't there, last year with a sort of a rolling start. But I think, having read the paperwork earlier, they are definitely going for standing starts, aren't they, from a standing position this time? And I think that's good, bearing in mind it's going to be quite a crowded grid. It could be very interesting at the start.
Yeah, that's right. So we had rolling starts last season, but I think on a couple of the races there was the issue where we had a couple of standing starts sneaking in, caught a lot of the drivers out by surprise. But it's been duly noted to everyone. Everyone's got the notice in that it is standing starts, and listen, that adds a whole new dimension to everything here because you have to be on top of your game in terms of clutch control, in terms of reaction time. The last thing you want to get is a stop-go penalty or a drive-through penalty for jumping the start of the race here. That could put paid to your race. Thankfully, with 2 races that we've got every week here, it's maybe going to limit the damage championship-wise, but still, it's not a problem that you really want to be having. As I'm looking at the left-hand side of that sort of split livery from Michael Clough, and that's shall we say artistic on the left-hand side there? It's a proper comic book.
It is, yeah. It's sort of. I'm just trying to see if there's any particular faces that we can spot there. Where's Wally? I can't see him. But it was. It's yeah. I mean, you're quite right. I mean, everyone's been so adventurous with their colour schemes this year, and it's that again is, I suppose, is just how we're developing the competition, isn't it? People are just allowed to let their imagination run away with them.
And that's exactly what we encourage here. It's brilliant to see as Ollie went straight into pit lane. Last cars coming through for their final laps here on qualifying, but it does look at the moment as if Ryan Martin safely in pole position with a 2-minute 25.4. Stuart McFadden down there in second place. And I had that horrible feeling where I've said that about Stuart McFadden. I'm just hoping it is actually the same one that that I know that is very. It just kind of ticks in with the fact that immediately up into second place, we've not seen them in the championship. And one person we do know though is Luke Arpino, and that is a solid qualifying session there for Luke up into P11, trying to get the draft coming out of the final corner and coming across the line. And not an improvement there, unfortunately. 320.847. Not going to get any points for that one. And a little bit of nudging contact into that final corner. Right. So there we go. Qualifying looks to be done and dusted. Craig Dunn into P6 there. That is a fairly good qualifying there. Keep yourself in the top 10. Keep yourself within contention. However, what we have to think about, John, is race 1, turn 1. What on earth do we think is going to happen?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. The first corner of the first race of the first event of the championship. It could be mayhem. Hopefully, the drivers will all be sensible and they'll just bed themselves in properly because there's a long way to go. It seems pointless to me to really go for it, all guns blazing in these first few laps and then to come a cropper because no matter how much practice you've done, tyres are going to, there's going to be issues with getting the tyres warmed up. They're going to have to be sat around for a while on the start. So just take it easy. Don't overdo it at the start. Here's Chris Slater, who admitted to me last night that he's not done very much practice. But you see, I know Chris Slater, and he says that. He's just trying to roll people
chestnut, John. That old chestnut.
Yeah, full sense of security and all that kind of thing. So, expect him to be there or thereabouts.
I believe the kids call that sandbagging nowadays.
They do, yes.
Something that we've seen quite a lot of this past week, I think.
Indeed, yeah. So, lots of excitement as we prepare then for the start then of this first race of the new season.
Let's get underway then. Pole position for Ryan Martin. It's a 1-2 for Royal Air Force with Stu McFadden in P2. Paul Hayhoe in P3 with Tom Stevens in P4. Matty Chambers in P5 with Craig Dunn in P6. Adam Barron and Ollie Waynes in row 4. It's then row 5 of James King and Chris Pawley. Luke Arpino and Chris Boland make up row 6. Moving on to row 7 after Chris Boland is going to be the 886 Royal Air Force car of John Finch, Dan Berris in P14, 15th for Michael Clough, Chris Slater in P16, Stu Eatock and Jez Banks in row 9, Craig Beasley and Lyndon Noble on row 10, Adam Waters and Ben Weston in row 11, Colin Scott and Jack Ajewski in row 12, Rhys Bose and Steve Ward in row 13, Glenn Griffin and Ayrton Redfern in row 14, and then at the back of the grid, Dan Hardwick and Barry Abbott in 29th and 30th position. And if the flags are anything to go by, I'm seeing the it's not a Scottish flag that's next to Stu McFadden, so I'm going to safely presume, John, that it isn't the same Stu McFadden that I presumed it was there. So we'll just disregard all of that in the first 2 minutes of this broadcast.
Well, I'm sure he's very grateful for the big up, because he deserves it. Anyway, he's clearly there on merit in the second position on the grid. So here we go, standing by then for the first race of 2023.
Yep, really, really looking forward to that fantastic flyover shot there. You can see down into turn 1 then. And of course, we are just about 5 or so seconds away from the start. The lights come on for season 3 of Afvrc. Let's get underway. Great start from Ryan Martin. Pulls across to the second hand side, but that's a terrible start for Stu McFadden there. Almost gets caught out by Stevens on the second row there. And there we go then. Stevens almost looking up for the first place already into the lead of the race, but Ryan Martin holds off, and we've got all 30 cars almost safely through into turn 1. But fantastic start. Yeah, we'll just ignore that going on at the back there. That looked like 3 cars constantly into contact there. But Stevens and McFadden absolutely side by side. Tom Stevens and Stu McFadden. We've got a car trying to rejoin there, and I'm a little bit scared there, John. My heart was in my mouth with a car coming about 80 miles an hour trying to rejoin the track there.
Like a loose horse on a race course. Right. But Ryan Martin has made a great start, hasn't he? That was just the sort of start that he'd been looking for, having grabbed pole position. So with Stevens second, McFadden dropping down to third place, but he has recovered with Chambers in fourth and Hayhoe in fifth. But it's very, very tight there as the field just starts to spread itself out. Here's Matty Chambers that we're with at the moment from the Royal Navy, and that's a good start for him in fourth place. But Ryan. Look at that great long line there going as they head down Woodcote towards Copse.
Wow, I'm pretty sure I just saw side by side coming through Copse Corner, because of course why not, but these Toyota GR86 cars proving to be an absolute delight to watch. It is a train going all the way down through in towards Maggots and Beckett's, then through Chapel Curve and onto the Hanger Straight for the first time. It's a long lap here at Silverstone GP, and that is a big gap that Ryan Martin has opened out over Tom Stevens. You saw Stu McFadden dropping down there. It was actually earlier on in the entry towards Brooklands that he ended up losing that position, but there we go. McFadden takes the move back into P2 there. Got the slipstream done, and what a move, John, to get that P2 back. But again, this is allowing Ryan Martin to break away here.
Yeah, it is. Adam Barron moving up as well, and in fact Stevens is dropping right down the field, allowing Michael Clough moving into the top 10 now, and Chambers has recovered that second place. McFadden has had a dreadful time. He's literally dropped right down to the bottom of the field now, to 19th place. So something seriously has happened with Stu McFadden there. Chambers back into second, Hayhoe third, but Ryan Martin maintains his 2.3 second lead.
Yeah, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together here and say that there was contact between Tom Stevens there and Stu McFadden, because that was both as they were coming round through Club Corner that they ended up dropping through the field. We were looking a little bit further back there, so that is them out of contention for the top 5 at the moment, although we've seen stranger things happen. But it does look like they are going to have a heck of a lot of work to do, and you wonder if that is possible with just 12 minutes left to go. Ryan Martin, though, out in the lead of the race by a country mile at this point in time, 2.3 seconds ahead of Chambers in second place there. Matty Chambers doing a cracking job for Royal Navy, getting up there onto the podium, and then you've got Hayhoe in third position as well. Paul Hayhoe currently trying to fend off Craig Dunn. Who would have thought that? P6 to P4 in just one lap. Cracking start there for Dunn, and doing everything that he needed to do. But look at this train.
I know, it is a train, isn't it? And this is possibly what we expected with all these cars of similar power, unlike last year, as in we have almost the 2 races into one each time. But they've all sort of set off in a way you would expect it. Michael Clough moving up now into the top 10, into 9th place, with James King there in 7th as well. We're looking at him at the moment in car number 23. Ryan Martin, as you say, David, really, he's made this race his, hasn't he? Right from the word go, he's led from the start, looking very, very comfortable indeed.
Yeah, he's definitely out there shining just now. Just 5 minutes into our first race of the brand new season as we go on board with Dan Berris down in P15, and that is on to the back of the 14th place car just in front of him, Jez Banks. That's right up there. That's going to be a look up into the inside at Stowe Corner. Is he going to be able to get that done? Gets it, slides it in, and they're still side by side, but yep, has to back off, so that is going to be P14 then. For Berris, you've got a car going very, very slow. Was that Luke Arpino, I think it was, in the background? Yeah. They're going very, very slow. That could have been a slow down penalty for Arpino, but again, you're just seeing what a difficulty these cars are having through the back of the field. And that gap now to Ryan Martin, 3.8 seconds. Matty Chambers in the fight of his life trying to hold on to that second position.
That's right. In fact, he's lost it. Durrant's now moved up into 3rd place, and Chambers, keeping that second place at the moment. Ryan Martin, though, he's building us up a substantial lead. He's going to have to make a huge error, hasn't he, now, to even with 5 minutes left in this race for things to go seriously wrong for him. So really good start for Ryan Martin there. It'll be interesting to hear what he has to say, or what certainly the winning drivers have to say after this first race, about what it's like to be back behind the wheel again in competitive action. As I say, a lot of them have been doing a lot of practice during the week, but so far this is where it really matters in the race.
So this is a replay of what happened to Luke Arpino then, as he's going to cross the grass. I wonder if that's a hardware failure onto the car there. So he looks like he's retired from the race. Luke Arpino was up into P7, and he is now, looks like, returned back to the pits. But we've now got what looks like a 10-car gaggle of Toyota GR86s. They are absolutely giving it some here at Silverstone here tonight. Also, just want to, I'll come back to what I was going to say in a second. Ooh. That is Adam Waters going into Stowe Corner there, pulling to the inside, and fantastic save there. I was just away to give a quick shout out to everyone on YouTube tonight. A massive support out there for Craig Dunn from a lot of the folk on YouTube chat tonight here, John. Well,
Craig's got a big following after his success last year, of course, but he's got a bit of work to do in this race, hasn't he, to get himself into a podium position at the moment. Well, he's in the podium position, he's 3rd, and he's really challenging Matty Chambers now, I think, as well, for that second place. What's just 0.2 of a second separating them at the moment, so that's going to be very tight. But can they catch either of them, catch Ryan Martin? Because those two really in that dogfight there for second place, allowing Martin to really extend his lead.
I'll give you a laugh here, John. Tom Stevens is now dropping down the order. He was actually catching up, but I wonder if he's had a bit of a moment there. He was actually onto the back of that group there, as we've got side by side with Paul Hayhoe and Chris Pawley fighting it out as well here. So it's now pretty much a two-car battle here between Matty Chambers and Craig Durrant, and then Chris Pawley. Let's see what happened here to Tom Stevens then. This is coming in towards Club Corner. Is it going to be a bit of contact there? It is. He just gets a little nudge on the back there. You hate to see it, but I mean, realistically, John, that's the first bit, I think, of a really heavy contact that we've seen into this new season.
It is, yeah, and I'm sure it won't be the last as well.
Such the optimist you are, John.
Well, we've got a lot of races to go. There's a lot of twists and turns down this circuit. Michael Clougher, look at him. He's now up to 7th, challenging Ollie Waynes now for 6th place, and getting very close with Jason King on his trail as well. In fact, King has now regained that 7th place as well, and it's so tight at the top, isn't it? With Durrant and Chambers, challenging there for their places. And Pawley just in 4th place, Hayhoe in 5th, Ollie Wayne 6th. Boland's now moved up to 8th ahead of Michael Clough, who's dropped down to 9th. He was in 7th just a few moments ago. Chris Slater, is he going to creep into the top 10? We wonder. Darren Berris just on the edge there in 12th place. So a lot of experienced drivers there. Are they biding their time, or are they just stuck in that snake?
Oh, no, I was going to say, I thought Chris Pawley had left us there, but that looked like it was a very brief connection issue. He's back up into P4. You were mentioning about the post-race interviews that we'll be doing with the drivers there, John, and I tell you what, I can imagine any one of these drivers in the top 10 right now going to be buzzing from ear to ear, because they are just going to be loving this constant fighting that's going on here. As you see Cluffy having to defend there, that's going to be Barn trying to go up the inside. It's still contacts, and unfortunately, from what it looked like there was a car already up the inside there. Clough tried to close the door, and the door got pretty much kicked open in his face. Yeah,
absolutely, and that's allowed quite a bit of movement there up in the top 10, and Chris Slater now moves into the top 10. Adam Barron just ahead of him in 9th, with Boland in 8th place. But what's going on at the top of the leaderboard? Pawley is slipping down. In fact, he's going right down the field, which has allowed Hayhoe to move up into 3rd place. And Ollie Waynes, it looks like something's happened here. And Durrant seems to have dropped as well.
Oh, Durrant's in the wall. Durrant was in the wall on the right-hand side there, John. I just saw the car very briefly reversing out. So Craig Durrant, our champion from last year, making a very rare mistake there. And, well, that is very, very strange from him.
That is surely his race. Well, it'll be interesting to know what happened to him there. We just saw on the replay there, just the end of it. But it means that Hayhoe's now moved up into 3rd place. Ollie Wayne just behind him with James King in 5th place, and it's still everything to play for in the top. But look at Martin. Look at Ryan Martin there, out there on his own, 5 seconds clear of the rest of the field.
This is absolutely wild, as we see Tom Stevens having another moment earlier. And this is where we saw that car going. We saw it dropping down the order there. And, well, that is a bad day, going from bad to worse, really, from Tom Stevens. I tell you what, Rhys Bose on his debut in the championship, P16 as well. He is fighting it out with Beasley down there in 17th position, Craig Beasley. So that's a very, very impressive debut for him. You can see them just, side by side coming through Copse Corner, because, like I said, of course you are. You would never see that. But a fantastic move there from Craig Beasley. And, fair play to Rhys, doing a cracking job on his debut. Looks like that battle there, John, in the top 10, kind of opening up now. We've only really got 2 main battles in that top 10. Everybody over a second.
That's right. And but Paul Hayhoe, very impressive there in keeping his 3rd place at the moment, keeping Ollie Wayne at bay, and James King just behind. And there's Chris Slater up into 8th. He had no practice at all, he's told us, but it doesn't look like that to me.
Doing very well.
There he is. He's still just sort of finding his way through there in car number 32, dressed up in his Air Force colours with some nice light green flashes there. He was saying actually that the cars perform similar in obviously simulation form as we're seeing to his Peugeot does in real life. So maybe it's not too different from what he's used to.
Oh, big moment there from Ollie Wayne. 3 wides coming into the corner. This is never going to work, surely, gentlemen. It does somehow, goodness me. And not only that, Ollie Wayne's got the position back. So he lost out there, almost lost 2 positions and got them immediately straight back there. So very lucky that Barn and Bolland weren't able to capitalise on that. And I think he can count one of his 9 lives as already used up.
Yeah, but Paul Hayhoe has made the most out of that. If you notice, there's now a 3-second gap between him and the cars behind him. So he's benefited hugely and maybe cemented his place there on the podium.
Beautiful, beautiful thing to see here. And that's the wonderful thing about this. This race gives us everything we need to know about this championship. Whereas Season 2 was a fairly topsy-turvy affair. We are going to be kept on our edge of our seats right until the very last round, I fear here, John, because this is just thrilling close racing that we've got going on here. You've got P2 and P3 still fighting out. We've got just over a minute to go here in the first race of the brand new season, brought to you by BFBS. And what a season it is going to be. Ryan Martin out front, proudly flying that Saltire. Absolutely no bias here whatsoever. Of course there is. But a brilliant performance. But the thing is, that's all very well and good, John, but that doesn't mean that that's how it's going to be for the rest of the season. I wonder what Ryan's going to be, because we saw that quite a lot from Craig as well last season, where he had these dominant performances, but if you put him in the middle of the pack, he would really find himself getting tripped over by the other cars.
That's right. But Ryan's done a brilliant race, actually, because he's led from the front. He's kept out of trouble, he's cemented his position, and he's just let the cars behind him battle it out. And this is the sort of race that he will absolutely want. It doesn't look particularly exciting from our point of view. What's going on behind is the exciting stuff. But for Ryan Martin, points in the bag, thank you very much.
And that's exactly it. I mean, we have to give him credit, because the thing is that with these cars being so slippery and slidey, very easy to overheat your tyres. And when you don't have any other cars that you're fighting against to act as a reference in terms of times and deltas and things like that, it can be very difficult indeed. But 15 minutes has come and gone. Ryan Martin making his way through the final half of the circuit then. I believe this is the final lap. This is coming down the Wellington Straight under the bridge there, going to be coming down into Brooklands this time by. And it's been a fantastic performance, but there's still lots of battles going on through the course of the field. Through round the right-hander at Luffield. And in fact, we've still got another half of the lap to go, don't we? Because I always do this at Silverstone GP. I always get the old layout and the new layout mixed up. Because, of course, you've got 2 start lines here as we go. Yep. That's a fantastic shot there, John, of James King and the rest behind. I tell you what, you'll be. I hope that the series admins will be getting their cameras out and getting some more promo shots done there, because that looks amazing.
Yeah, it's a great shot, it really is, and the guys just giving it their all at the moment. And this is anyone's position, isn't it? This really the press for and James King has moved up to 5th. He's overtaken Chris Boland, Adam Barron 7th, Chris Slater maintaining his position in 8th place now. He's 7 seconds behind that pack, well. Who knows? And, Stu McFadden, he's worked his way back into the top 10 again after that disaster that he had at the towards the beginning of the race, when he was right up there in 2nd place. He's worked his way back up into the top 10 now, sitting in 9th with Darren Berris in 10th. But this is looking really great for Ryan Martin. I'm really pleased for him. Really am. A great start for him and the RF team.
Through into the final couple of corners now then, rounds the final right-hander at Club Corner for the first time of Season 3. Ryan Martin is your first winner for the Royal Air Force here on Season 3 of the AFVRC. fantastic performance. Matty Chambers comes in second place there. Paul Hayhoe in third. Little bit of contact there between Paulie and Clough, and you wouldn't expect anything less from these drivers right now. Just everything, spanners, kitchen sink, plungers, all getting thrown by all of the drivers right now. Oh, huge contact on the final corner, and that's going to be Cloughie, and it was actually Streetics and Waters that collided there. They still came across the line, but oh my goodness me, that is a dramatic way to end your race there.
Well, not exactly gentleman's racing there at the end, one has to say.
Wow, but again, just shows you how, slippery and slidey these cars can be. And I think that's just the case of two cars just trying to push it right until the end there. But Ryan Martin takes the win. Matty Chambers in second, Paul Hayhoe in third position. Ollie Wayne's getting fourth position from Chris Boland. It's Barn in sixth position, King in seventh. Stu McFadden with that incredible recovery drive down into P17 at one point and getting himself back up into the top 10 in P8. Chris Slater in ninth position. Dan Berris takes the rounds out the top 10 there. But John, what a fantastic race one, and yeehaw, we have a championship.
Oh, not a bad start to the season. Not a bad start there, and I think we saw a bit of everything. We saw some great controlled driving at the top of the leaderboard, and we also saw, of course, those battles going on further down the field. And I think just showing how competitive these cars are, there's not a lot in it, is there, in terms of, the actual performance of the cars. So it's all going to be down to the drivers, and that's the sort of racing that we want to see.
It really, really is, and they've definitely done themselves proud in that first race. But on top of that, I think it also goes to show exactly what they're going to be facing. This is our super high-tech fancy Wheel of Fortune. This is going to decide the reverse grid to see who goes on pole position then. And it's a 6-car reverse grid. That means that it's going to be Adam Barron on pole position alongside Chris Boland. So a fortuitous run there for the car finishing in sixth place of Adam Barron. So RAF there, though, having what looks like, again, in fact, you'll not believe this, John, 9 out of the top 10 finishes there. Yeah,
absolutely. Ollie Wayne will get the third start, won't he, in that second place. But yeah, look at that performance from the Navy. But Matty Chambers from the Royal Air Force there, getting that second place for the senior service, and no sign of any British Army in there. So they will be having to rather improve things as we move on. With in fact, it's Linda Noble who is the first, isn't it? And down in 19th place. So in fact, not too many British Army. Craig Durrant, 27th. So a lot of work to do for the British Army, but a great start to the season for the RAF, as you say.
Now, that's one driver there, John. Just quickly talking about Linda Noble, we saw how much Linda struggled previously through the other season. But, I mean, that is a fantastic start. P19 in the top 20 for the first race of the season. It's only going to be up from here, isn't it?
Well, I hope so, yeah. And I think she'll be really chuffed by that start. So let's hope that she can push herself towards the top 10 place. That'll be really good.
Yeah, that's exactly what we will hope to wait and see. We'll take a very short commercial break. When we come back, though, we'll have live coverage, though, of Race 2 for Season 3 of the Afvrc. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Season 3 of the Armed Forces Virtual Racing Championship here on BFBS as our title sponsor, David Christie, and obviously got to be joined by the wonderful John Knighton here with us, just waiting for race 2 to get underway. Apologies for the delay. We had a few technical issues. They're all sorted, they're all resolved, and to be honest, John, this is what happens when you let a Scotsman get involved with technology.
Well, at least you got involved. I wouldn't have had any idea about where to start. So, well done for getting involved. All credit to you for that. But hey, what a brilliant first race! If you missed the first race, then you missed an absolute treat, because it really was absolutely superb to see the boys and the girls back again, giving it their all around this wonderful Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. And well done to Ryan Martin, the winner. Matty Chambers in second, with Paul Hayhoe in third place. And I'll tell you what, David, I think it's set the seal, hasn't it, for a wonderful new season of this e-motorsports.
Yeah, this is a very, very welcome revelation. These Toyota GR86 Cup cars have been fantastic to watch. Very difficult to master, obviously, as you can see there. Case in point, thank you very much. That was wonderful, actually. I promise that wasn't scripted in any way. A huge thank you, as always, to Mike Yao, our broadcast director behind the scenes, bringing these fantastic shots here at Silverstone Grand Prix layout. And of course, we are bringing you live coverage here tonight. A huge thank you, as always, to Racecar Radios, providing prizes, and to our title sponsor Splunk as well. But here we go then, race number 2. Dan Hardwick on pole position alongside Jez Banks. Row 2 is going to be Colin Scott and Dan Berris. Paul Hayhoe and Chris Slater on row 3. Stuart McFadden and Chris Pawley on row 4. Steve Ward and Stu Etic in row 5. Row 6 is going to be Adam Barron and Rhys Bowes on there as well. Then you have got, we'll move down, Michael Clough and Adam Waters on row 7, Jack Ejewski and James King on row 8, Ollie Waynes and Glenn Griffin on row 9, Tom Stevens and Craig Dunn on row 10. They'll be looking to make big amends there. Chris Boland and Matty Chambers on row 11, John Finch and Craig Beasley in 23rd and 24th respectively. Tom Stevens and Craig Durant on 19th and 20th. Chris Boland and Matty Chambers in 21st and 22nd. It's then John Finch and Craig Beasley in 23rd and 24th. Luke Arpino is in 25th, and 26th is our race 1 winner. But we are underway. We've got such a big grid that it basically gets underway before we have a chance to talk about them all. But looks like Bolland then entered the lead as we all come streaming down into turn 1 here. John, you got a spinner at the back there. I think that was Cloughie that ends up going straight across the pack. Goodness knows how he didn't catch any of them there, but Ryan Martin has been back up into the top 5 there. So again, it was just an erroneous name, and Wayne gets absolutely T-boned there. Chambers is out as well, and we have got absolute chaos.
So unlike these guys, I'm speechless, because the first race, it was almost a perfect start, but there's cars going all over the place at the moment. They're making a right mockery of the circuit here. But Chris Boland has skipped it all. He's already got just over a 0.2 of a second lead over Adam Barron and Paul Hayhoe, who obviously did so well in that first race as well, to get the third place on the podium. He is up to third as well. So maybe it'll spread itself out, but there's cars going off everywhere.
My goodness me, that was Luke Arpino, I think it was, that was off in the background there. You saw him just coming out of that second corner there. And my God, I'll tell you what I think's happened here, John. I think they've seen the replay of race 1 and thought, hang on a minute, what's going on here? We've been far too cautious and clean during that last race here. Joking aside, though, I mean, that was just wild. I'm not even going to try to pick apart what on earth happened during the arena section here. But back up at the front end, it's going to be Bollins and Barron fighting it out here. You've got Paul Hayhoe trying to make amends as well. But look at that in the background. That is a car you do not not want to see there. Ryan Martin in P4 is up for the lead, then goes Barn, sends it up into so corner as Cool Cam collected, as you like, loses the back end, and that is the two of them gone, and that means that Ryan Martin takes the lead of the race. Huge suspension damage there, and that is not the last time we are going to see that type of incident at Stowe Corner.
No, it's Paul Hayhoe that has grabbed the lead, isn't it, there? And he's taken advantage of, some harem-scarum, shall we say, because I feel a bit sorry for him. He was looking to take his chance, and it all went hopelessly wrong, didn't it? Hopelessly wrong.
Here's a little replay then of the chaos at the start, John, and Michael Clough loses it, goes back through the field. God knows how he missed everyone, but managed to get going with it.
Yeah, good old Cloughie. Did the business there.
You can always rely on Cloughie to be in the middle of whatever's going on there. It's Craig Beasley off in the background as well as Banks here. So 3 minutes in, and I think every single car has been involved in some sort of shenanigans right now.
I think they have, yeah. I mean, all these lovely paintwork that the cars have got, it's going to be nasty scratches. They're going to have to do a lot of work on that before next week. Oh, and there's another spin there. Oh, goodness me.
Yeah, that's the start. Yeah, that was a replay of what happened at the start. Absolute chaos and carnage going on there. So Ryan Martin now back in the lead of the race, and you've got to be honest, you think that it is a certain resolution to the end of this race, and we're only 4 minutes in, just purely based on what happened there. However, Paul Hayhoe sticking with your race leader here and actually getting a great toll, so showing how important slipstream is, John, in these GR86 Cup cars.
Yeah, that's going to play a really important part later on in the season. But yeah, Ryan Martin, could he be going on for a double? And really excellent performance again from Paul Hayhoe as well in second place. Remember, he got the third place, didn't he, in the first race? So a bit of quality already coming through from some of these drivers, just showing what they can do already in these GR86 Cup cars.
Yeah, fantastic to see. Brilliant stuff, though, as we see Linda Noble now up into P13. So that is a brilliant start for her to be beating the likes of Craig Dunn right now, as we've got another replay here. This is going to be into the arena section here, and you can see all of the chaos and carnage. That was Chris Slater caught up in that, tried to get going again, and I get the feeling he's going to come straight back into the line of fire there. Unbelievable scenes here, as you can see Luke Arpino trying to undo the damage from earlier, going around the outside at Cops. That's not going to work, but it does mean it'll have the inside line. You've got Adam Waters in contact there. I think that was Stu Etic that got caught up in that. Yeah,
he did. Oh, and they're still spinning about all over the place. That's Luke Arpino, though, as well. We're just sort of with him at the moment. Ryan Martin in that lead with Hayhoe second and Paulie in third place, with James King there hanging on in there in fourth place, and Stevens up to fifth. It's getting very exciting with just over 5 minutes gone in this second race of the season, and it will be. I'll be very interested to hear what some of these drivers are going to have to say at the end, because this second race has been so different from what we saw in the first.
Yeah. Very scrappy, very bitty, and a lot of fighting and yeah, just everything that you don't really enjoy seeing. But if I'm being completely honest, I do actually quite enjoy seeing all of the chaos. Listen, I am a chaotic neutral at heart, and this appeals to every little ounce of that. However, we're already coming up to the halfway point of the second race of our first rounds of the season here. Ryan Martin ahead of Paul Hayhoe, Chris Pauly in third, then King, Stevens, McFadden, Barron, Finch, Etic and Waters rounding out your top 10 just now. And yet again, I mean, despite all of the chaos going on here, John, it is still a very, very hard-fought battle outside that top 10.
It is, yeah, as it was in the first race. Again, the cars just showing how competitive they are, and how equally competitive they are. So I think, again, with all these cars, say if you've just joined us, unlike last season, we had really two races going on all the time with the different powers of the Porsches. This year with these GR86s, all very similar, and therefore we're going to see some very close racing. Come on, Colin, get it sorted, please. Colin Scutt there, just getting himself back on track again. But look, again, they've got a long line of cars there, that real bunched up there. Was it 5 cars altogether there as they go down the Hangar Straight, as they head towards the next corner. And I think this next few minutes are going to be very, very interesting indeed. Is Paul Hayhoe going to make a challenge on Ryan Martin? Is Paulie going to make a challenge on Hayhoe? Because there's only literally hundredths of a second between them.
Yeah, Paulie. So looks like from time screen anyway, all over the back of Paul Hayhoe. We're also looking at Luke Arpino, who's all over the back of Craig Durran and Ben Weston right now. So fascinating battles we've got going all over the place here. And again, these GR86 Cup cars are just such a handful to control. They really don't take anything to send their tyres over the limits of adhesion here, and it's just, that's exactly the reason why. You can see picture in picture Luke Arpino, and that is Craig Durran, and Ward is caught up in that as well, and that is big suspension damage for Luke Arpino. I think that car is done. That right rear looks to be off its axle anyway. It's certainly not looking too clever right now, and I think you're going to get a little bit of after there. Yeah, there's a little bit more contact there with Craig Durran, so you really don't like to see it, but obviously feeling very, very aggrieved. Meanwhile, Paulie has got that second position. It's now a 4-car fight for P2, and well, if anybody ordered a little bit of spice, a little bit of drama for their championship, I think it's safely just been delivered, because I've got no words for what we are watching right now. But yeah, this is getting a little bit fighty for my liking here.
Yeah, it's getting a bit feisty too. Competitive, I suppose, is the way we could describe it, to be fair. Yeah. But
ever the salesman, John, ever the salesman.
With Chris Paulie at the moment in car number 2 from the RAF, and a huge number of RAF entrants this year, dominating the championship, and so it really is up for the other 2 services to get their act together and really make a bit of a statement here. But the RAF showing that they really mean business in this championship. And look at Ryan Martin stretching his lead now to 2 seconds. Remember, he won that first race by over 5 seconds. He's really enjoying his day at Silverstone, is he not?
Yeah, he's taking it very, very easy out there in front. He knows that everybody else is just knocking lumps out of each other. Chris Paulie, Paul Hayhoe and King in that 4th position there. James King doing a grand job of slowing themselves down, essentially, and holding themselves back to that position. You've got Tom Stevens back in the mix with them as well. This is the problem here. You saw a huge moment there. Paul Hayhoe there, late on the brakes into that right-hander, coming into the arena section there, and ended up catching King out. So it is just, there's just so much drama as Luke Arpino still having big problems trying to get back to pit lane there. Craig Durran has decided to stay out here. But I mean, for me, it's not so much, you would see the stuff in any other championship, you'd be thinking, oh, this is just dirty driving. It's not. This is how difficult these GR86 Cup cars are to handle and to keep on competitive pace, but while trying to stay in control of them as well. That last instant there we saw there was a case of, you put on the brakes, if you're turning the wheel even slightly and you put the brakes on, then the car is going to just snap up. You instinctively lift off the brake, and then you have to end up slowing right down, and you end up careening into the car in front there. So again, I think he was just a victim of trying to control that car.
Well, I think it's a tribute to all the drivers, isn't it? That they're, with a few notable exceptions today, with some of the incidents we've seen, are handling the cars extremely well. And, particularly looking at Ryan Martin there out in front, he's really given us a masterclass so far today.
Yeah, he absolutely has. I'm going to make a very bold and dangerous prediction right now. Stu McFadden for P2, mostly because he's on the back of that train right now. They're fighting very, very hard, and you get the feeling somebody is going to go home crying as we go 3 wide into Stowe Corner, because yet again, of course, why not? The problem is that it's all very well being able to take these cars 3 wide, but you see it, the cars just slide out and you've got absolutely no control. But Paulie's still in the lead of King, Stevens and Hayhoe down into that 5th position, excuse me, as Paulie has a huge moment there onto the curbs on the outside there, and this is going to get very, very ugly in a hurry. Stu McFadden right up to the back end of this group here. He could get 3 cars here for the price of 1. Not quite decides to take caution as the better part of Valor here, John, but we've only got 3 minutes left to go in this race, and one of these cars is absolutely going to end up on its roof.
It is, but who knows who's going to finish 2nd and 3rd in these top 3 positions on the podium. It is so tight. But Ryan Martin just keeping himself out of trouble. He's going to win this again, I think, the way he's going. But yeah, you're right. But so far, a bit of discipline coming in from all the drivers there, just making sure that they're keeping themselves on the road, because you can't get a placing in this race unless if you go off. So they've really got to go for it.
And that's exactly what they're doing. You can see then Stu McFadden and Paul Hayhoe side by side coming down the Wellington Straight there, down into the second half of the Silverstone GP circuit. You can see Stu McFadden trying to keep the foot in there, but does get that position. Paul Hayhoe, that was some very, very valiant defending there, but not quite happening. Craig Dunn dropping to the bottom of the top 20. In fact, he drops out behind Luke Arpino, who has been into the pits then. So it has been a disastrous start to season 3 for our reigning champion, who coming into the season would have been feeling very, very comfortable at his chances. Obviously, very, very different machines, but nonetheless, you would have expected a very, very different affair coming into the race tonight. Also, we mentioned in race 1, Rhys Bose in his rookie season here, another fantastic performance into the top 10.
Absolutely. But don't write off Craig Durrant. Write him off at your peril, because he will be back, believe me. And he'll be dusting himself off and picking himself up and starting all over again, as they say. But Ryan Martin, brilliant performance. Look, he's over 6 seconds clear now, nearly 7 seconds clear of Paulie in second place, of Chris Paulie. And it seems to just have simmered down a little bit in that race for the rest of the podiums. I don't think so. It's very, very close indeed still, but they're showing lots of discipline, the drivers here. But are we in for a rip-roaring last minute or so on this Silverstone circuit?
I think we are, and you were just about to say that about having it calmed down a bit, and I honestly thought King was the way to T-bone Paulie right as you said that there, so thankfully it didn't happen. But my goodness me, this is just wild stuff there. Move on the outside there. I thought that was going to be Stevens, but it's not. It's King trying to go around the outside. Have a look at McFadden as well. He's trying to make hay while the sun shines here, as Paul Hayhoe also involved in this. You can see picture in picture, there's Ryan Martin, your current race leader. He's making his way through the second half of the circuit. It is almost formation flying. You could be forgiven for understanding that this is the RAF in the mix there. You've got the Royal Navy, because you've got the number 89 there, right in the mix there of Tom Stevens. So, I mean, this is wild racing.
It really is. Literally in the last throes of this race here, the 7th lap. And, well, it's still anyone's business, anyone's call for these 2nd and 3rd place. Well, I wouldn't like to call it. I'm not going to make any predictions. I don't think you will be either, Andy, as well, will you?
No, absolutely not. That's fantastic stuff here. Really enjoyed it. You can see Ryan Martin just off in a league of his own there. 9 seconds to the good now, because these group are fighting, knocking lumps there. There goes Stu McFadden to the outside, coming through Maggots and Beckett's then for the final time here as Ryan Martin coming through Stowe Corner. He's going to be out onto the Wellington Straight and then into Stowe Corner. Stu McFadden up the inside, up into P4 then. So just one car denying Stu McFadden from a podium here in the second race. But have a look at Tom Stevens as well. Wants to get that position back here. Going to go side by side there with Paul Hayhoe. This is intense. He's dropping down through the order there.
And back up again. He's dropped down to 5th now. So it's James King who's got the 2nd place at the moment. Paulie in 3rd. McFadden 4th. My goodness me, this is so exciting.
Well, here we go then. Ryan Martin round the final corner for the final time this evening. Race 2. It's 2 out of 2 for the Scotsman. For the RAF, Ryan Martin takes the win. It's surely going to be King versus Paulie across the line by 1/10 of a second. So King gets 2nd place there. Paulie gets 3rd. Stu McFadden up into P4. Paul Hayhoe down into P5. It wasn't to be for Tom Stevens in 6th position. Adam Barron in 7th position. James Finch in 8th. Stu Etic in 9th. But Reese Bose, that is a standout performance for me. The rookie in 10th position. Wow, that was a wild race too there. A lot of fighting, a lot of aggression, but it has to be said that 5-car fight for the final 3 laps there was impeccable. They were so well behaved, so very respectful.
Absolutely, and that's what I want to see. Good, well-disciplined, exciting, but well-disciplined driving, and that's what we certainly saw. Unlike at the beginning of that second race, which was anything but. But really a terrific performance from Ryan Martin today. I think he deserves all the accolades, winning those first 2 races, and many congratulations to him. James King is always someone who is going to come in there and give it his very best, and he has done. And Craig Paulie, again, that's a really good performance from him, isn't it? Getting that 3rd place. So some really good performances today, and a lot of food for thought for the rest of the field.
Certainly is. What a performance. So 2 for 2 for Ryan Martin, opening the bank account for the AFVRC Season 3 in style. A huge thank you to BFBS for being our title sponsor this season and making this season happen. Jez Banks then coming across the line out the final couple of corners and on his slow down lap there. Again, a difficult night for the RAF driver. Was up towards the front end of the pack earlier on, but it just wasn't to be, as we see Dan Hardwick as well here. John, I mean, just looking at what happened though through the race, how important do you think this? Because obviously it's a 10-week championship. That's 2 races out, so that's 2 out of the 20 races gone. How important do you think that's going to be for the championship?
Well, very important. I mean, especially for the people who have done so well today. Ryan Martin, 2 out of 2. But of course, so much depends on whether these drivers can maintain actually competing across the whole of the 10 weeks, because obviously, various commitments mean that that's not always possible. Look at that RAF domination, though, and well done to Tom Stevens, cracking it there for the Royal Navy in 6th place. But, people have got commitments, they've got their jobs to do, and it's not always possible to actually take part on a Tuesday. So I think, am I right in saying that, 3 of the races, or your 3 worst performances are discounted? Is that right? That certainly happened over the last couple of years, where 3 bad performances, or your 3 worst performances, were discounted from your overall points. Maybe they changed it.
It's 2 drop scores that they get this season, so it's the best 18 points over the season. And the other thing as well is that there's a drive-through penalty, so there's an in-game incident limit, and if they hit that 17 incidents, then they will get a drive-through penalty. But just running through the order there, and I guess it's forced by numbers, the RAF, with like a bazillion drivers in the order there. However, we still have to say, right, regardless of all that, regardless of the craziness that happened at the start, that still was a very, very close and very, very epic race there, John.
Exciting stuff it was. But look at Ryan Martin, 8 seconds clear at the top there. So I think we've got a couple of people that we can be talking to. Let's bring in Stuart McFadden first. Stuart, good evening to you, joining us. And tell me about your race.
Yeah, so tonight was pretty much I've been so busy through the week that I haven't really had much chance to practice at all until an hour and a half before tonight. So I kind of went in with not much expectations, to be honest. Lined up P2 in qualifying, which I was really happy with. I managed to get a good slipstream, just caught someone at the right time going to the hangar in qualifying. Race 1, yeah, it was just my own mistake. I hit the curb and I spun, and that was just my own fault. Was a little bit annoyed, I think it's the right way to put it. And then got back up to P8, knowing that would be really important if I wanted to kind of get onto near enough the podium in race 2, with the kind of the same grid going into race 2. And I done that, and then race 2 was so much fun. I was trying so hard at the end, pushing like hell to catch up with those guys in front of me, which I managed to do. I could have went for second, but it just wasn't worth the risk. I'd rather just back the points and move on to next week, where hopefully I can have a little bit more, make less mistakes, and hopefully be a wee bit faster on the pace of Ryan. Because he was really quick tonight, so fair play to him.
He was, yeah. I mean, I think that you made a very good point there about discipline. It's early on in the season. You don't need to be necessarily, really going for it. And you're learning all the time, of course. And as you say, very little practice this week. So a really disciplined second race there. So I think you'll be pretty pleased with that 4th place.
Yeah, 100%. It's just damage limitation sort of thing. Better than I could have asked for this week. So move on to next week and hopefully we can bank some more points.
Well done, Stuart. Good to talk to you tonight. So let's bring in Chris Pawley, 3rd place this evening in that second race. Chris, good evening to you. An eventful evening, we should say, I think, because you were having quite a good run, weren't you, in the first race? Then it all went a bit wrong, but you made up for it in the second place with a podium.
Yes, yeah, the first race was a bit of a disaster, to be honest. I forgot to put the right amount of fuel in the car. And I was kindly reminded by the crew chief that I needed to pit. So, yeah, that was a bit of a disaster, but managed to recover that one up to 11th. And then, yeah, this race was a bit scrappy towards the end, but pretty happy with 3rd. I think, yeah, good result overall.
Well, we enjoyed it very much. And how's it feeling, with this new Toyota? Obviously a very different car from last year with the Porsche. How's the GR86 shaping up for you?
Yeah, they're quite difficult to drive, but I think the racing's been really close and it's been really good. So, yeah, it's a tough car, a challenging car, unless you're Ryan Martin, who seems to be gapping the field. But overall, yeah, I mean, as you've probably seen today, it's been really close racing. So I think it's going to be a fun season.
It certainly is. Chris, good to speak to you this evening. Let's bring in James King, 2nd place in that second race, James. And we never write you off, of course. You've been watching you for far too long to do that. And you certainly produced that second place tonight. I think what a battle it was towards the end there for those podium places with Ryan well out in front, 8 seconds clear. So it really was a scrap for you guys. So you'll be very pleased with that second.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know there's not going to be much chance of catching Ryan this season, I don't think. He is fantastic in this car. But yeah, the battle with Chris and Stu and all the others was so much fun. This car is fantastic.
It's so good to hear you speaking like that because obviously the first year we had the Mazdas, which were, I suppose, a little bit underpowered, weren't they? And then last year went to the other extreme with the Porsche. So in a way, this is like the taking homogenation, isn't it, of getting forward? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think as long as this car doesn't change too much for the future, I can see this being a favourite one. A few of the people have said, yeah, they struggled with it initially, and then once they got their head around it, they're starting to really enjoy it now. So, fingers crossed.
Indeed, and lots of racing to come, but good to get the first 2 races underway. And what a way to start at Silverstone on the main Grand Prix circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, James. Good to talk to you, and thanks to all of you, Stu, and also to Chris, who joined us there in the interview box afterwards. And I think we've had a pretty enjoyable first evening, David, don't you?
We really, really have. Just to close off on that, that was actually Stu McFadden. That was the lad that I was thinking about. We haven't spoken in a couple of years, and imagine my shock when I realised that he's in the RAF now. He was about 14 or 15 when I first met him. He was doing autographs in real life, and yeah, fantastic to see that he's now involved with the armed forces, and yeah, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. But Ryan Martin did everything that he needed to do tonight to open up the bank balance for season 3 in style. Huge thank you to the British Forces Broadcasting Service for sponsoring the season, and we look forward to getting underway with more racing next week. A huge thank you to Racecar Radios for providing the prizes, and to Splunk as well, who we will be showing some awesome in-race analytics and data from them as well. And a huge thank you as well to John Knighton for providing wonderful company. John, you've been amazing as always, and looking forward to getting back next week where we head off to Brands Hatch. It is going to be a fantastic race, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. We're looking forward to it very, very much indeed. Good to talk to you again, David. Nice one.
My pleasure. A huge thank you to Mike Cow behind the scenes for Sim Sports Solutions, providing all the camera work, and a huge thank you to you at home for watching and giving us all the chat as well. Until next week, we will see you at the same time, same place. Take care.